you're going to see someone go insane. I believe this is where GodLogic showed everybody. Well, this is one of at least two that I'm going to show you that show he shouldn't be doing this. Listen carefully. He does. It's bad.
Been active. And so, Alex, man, how you doing, man?
Hey,
you mentioned
GodLogic.
Yes, yes, sir. You mentioned in Hebrews 1 where, God is speaking, or God spoke to our, through prophets. Now he speaks to us through his son, and you're saying, where was Jesus then? Back then he should have been active. And so,
okay, so he's very clearly about to use a text to show where Jesus pre-existed, Hebrews 1, and was active, right? So listen to what he does. Listen to how he does that.
Regarding Hebrews, I just want to read you this and get your thoughts on this, okay? It's Hebrews 11. Regarding Moses, it says, by faith, Moses, and I'm going to just skip down to 25 and 26 for time, choosing rather to be mistreated with the people of God than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin, he considered the reproach of Christ greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. So,
okay, right here, he's going to totally change what he just read. Now, the version he just read wasn't like the best, but there should be, again, there is no excuse given all the, you literally can type in one web address and have 20 Bible translations show you the verse. This is not acceptable. Listen to how he explains this verse. I'm telling you, when you see what I show you and how what he says is not possible, I think it'll blow your mind. Listen.
So how is it that Moses can be considering Christ's disapproval if...
How is it that Moses can be considering Christ's disapproval? It's real simple, GodLogic. He's not. Where are you getting this from? Where are you getting from Hebrews 11:26? Moses is thinking about Jesus disapproving him. It's literally the opposite of that, right? Yeah, as I'm going to show you in a second, it says that Moses valued that disapproval, GodLogic, more than the wealth of Egypt's treasures. He wanted that disapproval. You know why? It's not disapproval. You have it all wrong. How you blew it this badly, I don't know. But you did. And this is wild, man, because I'm going to show you you've got it all wrong.
If Christ wasn't around for him to disapprove?
Yeah, that is a great question. So Christ...
For him to disapprove. So GodLogic is claiming, Hebrews 11:26 is saying, Moses was what? Trying to avoid Christ disapproving him? And so therefore, because Moses was thinking about Christ disapproving him, he had to be around during Moses' time, right? Wrong. Because that's not what it's saying. Not even close. Not even like anywhere near that. You understand? Watch.
He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as greater value than the treasures of Egypt because he was looking ahead to his...
Okay, now right there, now the fourth disgrace for the sake of Christ, that's not a correct translation, but that still could have told Alex that GodLogic was wrong, right? Because the version Alex is looking at right now says he regarded disgrace for the sake of the Christ, which would then potentially make it either a present or future thing, right? Because Moses talks about the prophet that will come after him, and that Yahweh's going to put his words in his mouth in Deuteronomy 18:18. And obviously, Moses is aware of all the promises made through Abraham. We'll get to that more in a moment. But this for the sake of the Christ, that's not what the Greek text says. Either way, that still wouldn't be proof that Jesus is existing during Moses' time to disapprove him. It would just be Moses doing things for the sake of the reward that he's looking toward that he'll get in the future, which is what the author of Hebrews is talking about. So that does change it from what GodLogic was trying to do. GodLogic was trying to say, how could Moses be thinking of Jesus' disapproval if he wasn't active at that time? In other words, Jesus has to be alive during Moses' time to disapprove of him, right? That's not what it's talking about. It's talking about Moses being disapproved by the Egyptians. He considered the disgrace that comes with being an anointed one, or that comes with being the Christ that he's prefiguring.
I couldn't imagine. I would wish that Hebrews didn't exist. I would wish that the book of Hebrews was not in the Bible so that I can hold my
understand barely anything. For even you to talk like that just shows you're bloviating. Okay, get to the points. We don't need to hear what you can't believe or do believe. You haven't proven clearly to everybody.
So we got a concession from Alex, which is beautiful. It's amazing.
You got a concession from someone who didn't understand your question, that you distorted as you presented it, that he had never heard before, that doesn't teach what you're saying. And he even followed up with you like you showed to show he doesn't agree with what you're saying. And I'm going to show it doesn't teach what you're saying, and you're a liar.
And we see here, and for those of you guys who didn't understand the point, we have Moses back in.
Listen carefully, okay? You need to hear this, because this guy is a liar. You're not supposed to feel sorry for liars. People who get up here in public, ask stupid-ass questions because they want notoriety when they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And then they follow it up with a video that he's doubling down. This guy, unbelievable. If I need to see, has anyone called this guy out on this misuse of Hebrews 11:26? Sam, this is bad. Listen to this guy. Listen how he explains it.
The times of Egypt. The Bible says that he did not consider the pleasures of Egypt and the riches of Egypt to be anything. In fact, he rather suffered with the people of God during the Exodus because he feared the reproach of Christ.
Nope, doesn't say that. You just lied again. So we've got him saying, Moses regarded the disgrace of the Christ. I think it was his first one. Now he's saying Moses feared the reproach of the Christ, right? Just like I've been telling you. He thinks, everybody, I'm telling you, this is big. He blows it again after this with the word for Lord, but just focus with me, okay? He just said, I'll play it again. He just said again, Hebrews 11:26 says, Moses regarded, he feared what the Lord was going to do to him more than the treasures of Egypt. Listen, paraphrase, but that's basically what he said. Listen.
Beautiful. It's amazing. And we see here, and for those of you guys who didn't understand the point.
Right? So he's like thought about this. The debate happened before. He's had time to think about it. No one obviously told him. And no one at the debate knew, right? It's like a total disgrace. We give Alex a pass, though, because he's not a full-blown Bible believer scholar. So it's these guys. None of these guys told him, hey, you're really blowing it with Hebrews 11:26. What you just said, it doesn't say that. Listen again.
We have Moses back in the times of Egypt. The Bible says that he did not consider the pleasures of Egypt and the riches of Egypt to be anything. In fact, he rather suffered with the people of God during the Exodus because he feared the reproach of Christ. Now,
he feared the reproach of Christ.
you guys saw it. This means that Christ pre-existed and it was in the presence of Moses. Moses was aware of Christ, was in his presence and feared him, had a respect and a reverence for Christ before we get Christ being born of a human.
Isn't that unbelievable? Right? This guy's gone. Right? First of all, it doesn't say fear. And if you read Hebrews like you claim to have, right? Try reading Hebrews 5:7, right? Ulabia is what you want. Godly fear. That's not what's in Hebrews 11:26. He regards the highlighted part right there as greater, more valuable, better than the wealth of Egypt's treasures. You understand? He wants this. That's what he wants that. That's more value. It's greater. It's better to him, to Moses, than all the wealth of Egypt's treasures. So he regards that as greater. He regards that as something better, superior. What is that? He regards the reproach of the Christ. It's also, as you can see, in the accusative. So it's actually the direct object of hegeomai, because it's what he's actually considering. Like I said earlier, when I said that's what he thinks is greater. He considers this as greater. He's regarding the reproach or the insult of the Christ as greater, better than the wealth of Egypt. Comparatively, Moses wants the insult of the Christ, not the wealth of Egypt. According to GodLogic, Moses is afraid of what Jesus is going to do to him more than the treasures of Egypt. No, that's not what it's talking about at all. Look, the reproach. That's not, the word for godly fear in Hebrews is ulabea, Hebrews 5:7. Look, this word is reproach, insult, disgrace, reviling. So GodLogic is telling us Moses is afraid that Jesus is going to do this to him, right? Moses is afraid right then and there of the living Christ insulting him. Yeah, that's not what it's talking. The text is saying he considers that, he regards that as more valuable than all the treasures of Egypt. He wants it. He's not trying to avoid it because he's afraid. Well, that is so stupid and shows this guy he shouldn't be interpreting the Bible. Sam, are you the only one that taught this guy? I mean, I'm seeing some, and this isn't the worst yet. He does something even as bad with Lord in a minute. I'm going to show you. It's talking about him enduring insults and disgrace and valuing that more than all the wealth of Egypt's treasures. It has nothing to do explicitly. And maybe there's a possibility, right? I mean, I believe Jesus was alive, so it's not a problem for me. But that's not what it's saying. It's saying Moses thinks the disgrace of the Christ or anointed one is better, greater. He wants it more than all the wealth of Egypt's treasures. So why would he want Jesus to insult him, dumb-so? He wants to have people insult him because he's the anointed one. That's what it says.